So let's get this thing put together. Hello everybody, welcome back to my workshop and welcome back to my garage. This is going to be episode number 14 in my Elysium Phoenix build, and what we're going to be doing in today's video is we're going to be getting final assembly done on this guitar. I just want to take a moment to say thank you very much for following along with the channel. Please, if you like what I'm doing, click like, click subscribe. First thing I want to get done is to shield the control cavity and get the pickup cavity and the trim cavities painted. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this copper tape in there. This is conductive tape. As far as the glue on the back is conductive, so if I overlap it on one another, it is going to create a good cage around everything, so I really don't need to solder the ends of the tape together. Sometimes if you're not using a copper tape with conductive glue, what you'll have to do is just put a dab of solder where the pieces meet up and touch each other and overlap, and that just creates the continuity through there. There's that bail sealed up. All I got to do now is just open up the holes. I've got the input jack hole to open up, the three-way switch, the volume and the tone, and then also my ground wire that's going to be coming through from my bridge. I need to open that hole back up. So the next thing we want to install, I want to go ahead and get the pickups installed. What I'm using is a set of my custom-made Sonoran custom wound pickups. These are actually a prototype pickup that I made, blade style. The neck is coming in at 9.7K, and I'm using a Alnico 5 magnet in this. The reason why I've got a tape on it is because that's the south-oriented pole. So the south-oriented pole is going to go closest to the neck on the neck pickup and closest to the bridge on the bridge pickup. That way I make sure I keep my polarities and everything in order and nothing's changed there. The bridge pickup on this is wound a little bit hotter. This is coming in at 14.9, so kind of around the Seymour Duncan JB range. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in, and I'm looking forward to see how these sound. This, like I said, this is a prototype guitar and it's a prototype set of pickups that I wound for it. There's the pickups in. Next thing we want to do is let's go ahead and get our switches and our volume knob, our tone knob, and our three-way switch in. That way we can start looking at getting this thing wired up. I am using hip shot locking tuners on this. These are open geared ones. It's kind of a nice look to it. I've already got them separated between the bass and the treble side. There we go. There's the tuners installed. So because I still haven't figured out a good way to show me soldering up stuff, I went ahead and I wired this up off camera, but I want to show you what I did. I want to show you the wiring that's done. So I've got everything grounded in series. It goes from my claw to my volume to the tone to the switch and then to the jack. So I got good grounds on everything. Capacitor. The bridge pickup is wired to here. The neck pickup is wired to the top lug on that. And then coming out of the center lug here, that goes to my volume. And then my volume drops back to my tone. So that's everything wired up. Nice, neat installation. I went ahead and checked everything. Everything works, no buzz. So everything will be good with that. The tone works, the volume worked, so I'm happy with the way that turned out. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and I'm going to get the strings put on. That way I can get the bridge kind of set up, and then we can look at doing the final fit on the covers. And then after I do the complete build and after I get everything built, then I'll go through a final setup on the guitar. For the tremolo, I'm using a Vega trim on this, and this is a direct Strat replacement drop-in. So what you do is it's got this mount plate here, and it's only for 2 screws. You can do you can do machine screw inserts into the body of the guitar, or you can do wood screws. I went with machine screw inserts, as this was a new build. The way this is set up is it does allow a little bit of back and forth, so I'm not tightening it down tight yet, because I don't want to put impressions in the wood until I get the strings on, the high E and low E string on, and make sure the trim's where it's supposed to be. But then it has the 2 knife blades on the front of the trim, and it just drops in. And then that way, we can get it strung up. So now that I've got the strings on, we're good on my pickups. Just kind of centering it up on my frets coming down. There we go. That's where I want it. So now I can just tighten this down and the bridge will stay where I want it to be. So I'm getting ready to do the nut. And what I want to do is I'm using a tusk nut that's already pre-slotted, but I need to cut it down to the proper size. So as you can see when I set it in here, it's pretty tall on there. So what I've done is I have this little tool here, and basically allows me to set it flat, and I can run it along the frets, and I can draw a line. That bottom line that you see, that's the line, that's where my frets are. And then what I did is I raised it up just a little bit more, and that next line is just slightly up from there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to file my slots down to that line. And then I'm going to reshape the top of the nut, smooth it out a little bit to make it to where the slots aren't quite so deep, because that'll cause tuning problems, because you want the strings just to sit in the slots. You don't want them buried in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, before I put this on, I'm going to go ahead and file each slot down to the top, to that first line, and then I'll fine tune from there once I get the nut on the guitar and go from there. But this is a really good little tool. It allows you to set it flat so you can draw that first line, and it keeps the radius of the frets. Then you can just loosen this thumb screw and raise this up a little bit to where it's not flat anymore, and you can draw that second line. So it allows you to kind of fine tune and get the nut a little bit closer before you actually put it on the guitar. And then what I have here is I have my nut vise for doing nuts, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Then I can take my nut files, and I'm filing it at an angle, kind of following the top of the nut. That way the strings break over the back of the nut. There we go, just hitting the line there for that one. So now as you can see, I filed each slot down just where it's touching that line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a file and I'm going to file these down, because see how deep that hole is there, or that slot? You do not want the low E or the high E sitting that low into the slot, because that'll cause binding issues. So I'm just going to file these off a little bit, and that'll get it closer to the proper size. And then just take some sandpaper and clean it up a little bit. Take some of the file scratches out of it. It's a little bit lower now. This is going to allow a little bit better tuning, or a little bit easier setting up. And then what I'll do is after I get this in and get this guitar strung up, and I go to set my action and adjust the nut height and everything, I can go ahead and fine tune this in and drop it down a little bit more, because I'll actually drop it all the way down to almost that bottom line. But I always stop short and then just do the final adjustments on the guitar. So that shows you how you can get your nut prep to slot in relatively quickly. There we go, cover's installed. Let's go ahead and get the final piece put on, and that's the strap locks. And here we have the completed guitar. I gotta say, I'm very glad that I'm done building this guitar. This one has been one that I've put on the back shelf. It's been moved in my schedule. We had a move across the country that kind of interrupted the build on this, setting up the new shop and getting everything together and getting it working. I do like the guitar. I've played it for a while now. I am happy with the way it plays. The action's nice. I did have to do some work with the bridge to get that situated properly. This is a prototype, so there are a couple things on it that I definitely will change moving forward when I build the next version of this guitar. But overall, the guitar is very nice. Just a recap of what I used on it. The bridge is the Vega Trem 2 bridge. It's supposed to be a drop-in Strat replacement bridge. It did go in very well. It is a nice bridge. It's made from quality components, so with that it's very good. It's very smooth. Tusk nut. I used Hipshot open geared locking tuners. The pickups are my pickups. They're a prototype design, my blade style pickups. So far I've been really happy with the way they've played. I'll be doing a full review on the playability of this in a later video. Some things that I would change right off the bat. I would definitely change my back covers with the way that I did them. I did them with maple on this. I thought it was going to look good. I cut them out. It does look okay, but it is just too much of a contrast. So I think I'd probably go with maybe canary, or just use some of the sapele or the same body wood that I used to make the body out of. That's nice. The recessed control knobs, those were a bit of a pain. I do have the proper tool to do it now, so hopefully the next time around this it'll be a little bit better. These I don't like a whole lot. There's a couple flaws with them that I just couldn't get out, and I just didn't want to plug and start over again because, like I said, this was a prototype, so it was a learning experience on what I was going to do and how I was going to do it. And then the same with the bridge opening. Because I used this bridge and routed everything for this bridge versus the templates, I would move the opening forward just a bit more to where it covers it. I had anticipated using this as a floating bridge, so that's why I kind of left that space behind it, but I ended up going more of a top mount on it, so there's very little pull up on it, so the space in behind there is not needed. I routed it on purpose like that to where it would clear when I did pull up, so I do have a little bit of movement there, and as I play it more I'll figure that out. But even though it took me 2.5 years to finish this guitar, I'm pretty happy with it. Finally finished my Great Guitar Build Off 2023 entry, so that's pretty good. So I'm glad to have this one in the books and hang it up on the rack. So that is going to wrap up this video. I just want to say to everybody, thank you very much, especially if you stuck around to the end of the video. I hope you like what I'm doing. Please click like, click subscribe, really helps me out. Leave a comment below. I do try and answer every comment that I get, positive and negative. The negative comments aren't quite so fun, but you know, they do happen as people don't like everything that everybody doesn't like the things that everybody else does. So there's always going to be that negativity there, and I fully accept that, and it's a learning process. So again, thank you for stopping by the channel, and until next time.